Nickardo Lawson. We say good morning and welcome, Mr. Lawson. How are you today?
Hi, good morning, Ritchie B. I'm great. How are you?
Not too bad at all. Glad to have you. You are, in fact, would I say, a debutant on this feature?
Yes.
Your first time. We're happy to have you, man.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful.
I'm excited to be here.
All right. Now, Nickardo, many individuals are still not sure what the National Identification System, or NIDS, really is. Can you first of all explain it to us a little bit?
Sure. So NIDS is essentially a system by which the government collects and keeps unique information about all of us. And with that information, you are uniquely identifiable. That information is kept in a database, and it's linked to all aspects of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So in some instances, the information is minimal. So name, date of birth, photo, fingerprints, and so on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. Now, looking at it, what would you say are some of the benefits of having such a system?
Right. So a well-organized NIDS can include a complete overhaul of how we do business in Jamaica, because the government and how the government interacts with us as a people.
Mm-hmm.
Because with NIDS, each Jamaican can be accounted for in a central database. Mm-hmm. And that allows the government a clear view into the population and enables the government to accurately assess our needs. Mm-hmm. And to create programs and target social services to us effectively, because the government can identify us.
Okay.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And can also assist in the detection of crime and prevention of crime as well. So those are major benefits of it.
Okay. Many people are skeptical, and many have said, why is it necessary to introduce NIDS when we already have other forms of national ID? What would you say to that?
Yeah, so that's the major, question. We have other forms. So what that means is currently, for example, you have a passport number, a TRN, and to do business, it means that you have to present multiple numbers. Mm-hmm. So under NIDS, the idea is that each Jamaican, you and I, will have one single number and it's linked to everything. So say, for example, I want to go to a bank and open an account or apply for a loan. Instead of presenting a passport and some other form of ID, we present one single, ID card as one number, and based on that, all that will be required. So It makes doing business easier.
Let's go back to 2017
Right.
and look back at the NIDS law as it was then. What were some of the main requirements in that law, and what would you say, by extension, were some of the main problems with some of those requirements?
Yeah, great question, Richie. So essentially, under the 2017 law, each Jamaican or persons who are considered ordinarily resident in Jamaica were required to enroll in a database. Mm-hmm. Right? And unfortunately, the requirement was mandatory. So if a person failed to enroll or chose not to enroll, that person could face criminal sanctions. Mm-hmm. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So it wasn't voluntary. Information that was required that each individual was required to submit was biographic, biometric, and demographic information, including your full name, date of birth, where you reside, your parents, your gender, your height, information like your, marital status. It was a lot, mm-hmm. Your fingerprint, your eye color, your manual signature, even your vein pattern, Richie.
Really?
Mm-hmm. your toe print, your palm print, your race, your religion, educational status, where your matrimonial home is, your telephone number. It was a lot. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It was a lot. And in addition to that, third parties could access the information.
Ah.
So someone could apply to say, let's say, for example, Richie, you're assigned 876 as your personal number, yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Someone could simply just apply to access that information, and if it's granted, that person has access to all the information about what I just explained.
Oh, that would be
your blood type.
Oh, that could be quite problematic.
That could be problematic.
Yes.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how it would have operated. And as well, Jamaicans and persons who are ordinary residents here were required to actually hold, as I said, a number and a card, but foreigners, for example, who come to Jamaica and want to do business with public bodies, they were not required to obtain this number and to enroll. Mm-hmm. So what the court found was that this requirement actually made it harder for Jamaicans to do business in Jamaica than for an American or, say, a Canadian who wants to come here and access a public service. You know.
So on those bases, it was struck down, wasn't it?
It was struck down. The court found that essentially the main requirements I outlined were unconstitutional. And as we know, the Constitution is the supreme law of Jamaica, and each law that's passed or proposed to be passed must meet the requirements under the Constitution, because basically judged against the standard. Mm-hmm. In this instance, it was really assessed based against the Bill of Rights, which, we fought for years to actually implement. So the court found that there were rights, for example, the right to privacy, security of the person, freedom of movement, and so on were infringed, and that in a free and fair democratic society like Jamaica, that we're proud to have in Jamaica, the act could not stand and had to be struck down.
So it was generally felt to be would you say unfair to citizens and Jamaican residents?
It was, especially the aspect, requiring Jamaicans to enroll and produce a national ID card, a national ID number, and not requiring the same for foreigners. That's one of the reasons.
Yes.
So the court found that requirement was actually discriminatory and unfair, right? In addition, the court found that the requirement that it be mandatory, meaning enrollment is mandatory, and failure to do so would amount to a criminal sanction, was obviously a breach of the Constitution and therefore could not stand.
Mm-hmm. What has happened? What has happened since, and where is it at now, so to speak?
Right. So since the law was struck down, the government went back to the drawing board.
Yes.
And actually devised a new bill in 2020. So it's at the Joint Select Committee stage right now. Persons are kind of submitting on it, and then we go to a debate. Mm-hmm.
All of those issues were actually addressed, and was there a reformulation, so to speak?
Yeah, there's a reformulation of it, of the 2017 Act, and it's now the idea essentially is that the government try to address these issues.
Yes.
So
you know what, Nickardo? Mm-hmm. I'm going to, because our time is of the essence, I'm going to hold that point and I'm going to pick up with you in a part two, because we need to get some more, a little deeper into this NIDS national identification system. So if you don't mind, I'm going to say publicly that we will have a part two on this.
Oh, thank you so much.
That is what we're going to do, Nickardo. We'll have a part two, because there's a whole lot more that we want to dissect. But before you go today, there is something that we do at the end of this feature. We call it the Did You Know Tidbit. Hashtag Did You Know. What do you have for us this morning in our Did You Know Tidbit?
For me, it is this, did you know that NIDS just went too far? That's it. Did you know? It just went too far.
It did. Yeah. And having listened to you, I definitely would have to agree. It went too far. Yeah. On that note, I thank you for your time and the information you shared, and we look forward to next week when we'll have a part two on the National Identification System, NIDS. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Richie.
All right, our pleasure, and have a good day. Nickardo Lawson, ladies and gentlemen, noted attorney at DunnCox Attorneys at Law, was our very special guest with a lot of information and more to share next week when we do part two on the National Identification System, NIDS. The first attempt and why it failed is the topic that we looked at today. Thanks for listening to The Legal Landscape here on the Edge 105 FM.
You're listening to The Edge 105 FM. 105 FM. 105 FM.